Tradition, would you bow with me in a word of prayer? Almighty God, into whose hand is the life of every living thing and the breath of all mankind, we look to you today in solemn gratitude for your sovereign provision, your protection, and your favor. We acknowledge your presence on this beautiful day as we stand in the shadow of this monument. 80 years ago, after years of violent conflict spanning the globe, the United States of America formally accepted the surrender of the Empire of Japan, ending the greatest armed conflict the world has yet seen. In your eternal wisdom and providence, God, you have raised up countless ordinary men and women who became extraordinary and heroically protected the freedoms of those who came behind them, advancing in the face of an unyielding enemy to liberate the people who were held captive. Countless thousands of brave warriors have given their lives to win peace, and today we honor them here in this memorial as a tribute to their deeds. Sovereign God, I ask your blessings on those who continue to mourn their loss, others who continue to lay claim to your grace. As America's sons and daughters in uniform continue to stand vigilant against the threats of our freedoms, we pray your blessings, your shielding, and your protection. Your sovereign governance continue to preserve the freedoms for which so many have paid with their final breath. God Almighty, we ask that you heal the hurts of this war-torn world and bestow upon us freedom, justice, and peace for all. In your name I pray. Amen.
Please be seated. To co-host today's observance with the National Park Service.
To recognize the fantastic honor guard, the service they Coral Sea, Guadalcanal, Midway. It remembers those who gave their lives and are recognized. You can recognize them who help us every single day. We have not forgotten. They have not forgotten. To our veterans who are here today and the veterans who are not here with us today, thank you very much for your service. We are very honored at your presence, and glad you could be with us here today to share your stories, for us to recognize you in person, and to say thank you. No tribute can fully measure the magnitude of the sacrifice made by all the veterans, the ones that are here today, the ones that are not able to join us, the ones we've lost, and the families who were behind, remained behind, and the ones that lost loved ones. At the surrender ceremony on September 2nd, 1945, General Douglas MacArthur said, "It is my earnest hope that from this solemn occasion a better world shall emerge, founded upon faith and understanding, dedicated to the dignity of man and the fulfillment of his most cherished wish for freedom, tolerance, and justice. In a world still striving for peace and understanding, his words remain just as relevant today, if not more." Memorials like this are not just simply stone and bronze. They remind us that ordinary people and extraordinary people can accomplish significant things. They help us understand the sacrifices that shaped our nation, our society. They show us what we can achieve when we work together as a nation. The National Park Service is extremely proud to be the steward of this legacy. We will be here every day protecting this place and passing its stories on to future generations, to the 4 million that come every day, to the millions that will come in the future. What we preserve here is not only a memorial, but a national birthright purchased at an unimaginable cost, and one we will honor with all the reverence that it deserves. Thank you.
Founded in 2007, Friends of the National World War II Memorial is dedicated to honoring the greatest generation and preserving their legacy for future generations. Please welcome our chair, Mrs. Jane Dropa.
Good morning. On behalf of Friends of the National World War II Memorial, I am deeply honored to welcome you this solemn and historic occasion, the 80th anniversary of VJ Day, the Allied victory in the Pacific, and the end of World War II. I want to begin by recognizing our valued allies, both of 80 years ago and today, our distinguished guests, Superintendent Grease and the National Park Service, members of the military, and all those who have gathered with us today. But most especially, I want to welcome and thank our World War II veterans. Your presence here today is a powerful reminder of the courage, character, and sacrifice that defined your generation. We are profoundly grateful. It is particularly meaningful for me to be here this morning because my father, John N. Irwin II, served in the Pacific Theater during World War II. He was part of Army intelligence under General MacArthur, and his service, like that of so many who served, shaped not only the course of history, but the values he passed down to our family. 80 years ago today, people around the world danced in the streets and embraced loved ones and even strangers with tears of joy and relief. But even in that celebration, there was solemn remembrance for the 70 million people around the globe whose lives were lost, and the more than 400,000 Americans who never returned home. Here, at this memorial, this sacred space, etched in granite and bronze, we remember them. There are 4,028 stars to my left. Each one represents 100 American military deaths. In the foundation, There is soil from each of the 14 overseas World War II American military cemeteries. And we honor and remember you, our living heroes, whose bravery helped to secure that victory. Today is not just a commemoration of the past, it is a call to the future, a call to preserve this memorial and what it stands for. And as my fellow board member, Admiral John Baldwin, wrote in an op-ed piece this weekend, the true commemoration lies in our actions, recording veterans' testimonies before they are lost, teaching the next generation the human cost of war, strengthening alliances that prevent future conflict, and rejecting the false comfort of forgetting. We need to ensure that every generation understands what was won and what was sacrificed. Thank you for joining us, and thank you from the bottom of my heart to our veterans. Your legacy lives on in all of us and will never be forgotten. Thank you.
I'd now like to recognize the 36 members of the American Defenders of Bataan and Corregidor Memorial Society who are in attendance today. The flag you see displayed next to the arch on the Pacific side belongs to one of the members. That flag was made from parachute silk of supplies dropped by B-29s after the Japanese surrender, and the flag was erected over the POW camp in Japan. It is now my great honor to introduce to you our World War II veterans. Mr. Dave Yoho. At just 16 years old, Dave Yoho joined the United States Merchant Marine and served aboard a T-2 tanker supplying combat ships in the South Pacific. The war ended days before his 17th birthday. Let us honor Mr. Dave Yoho. Mr. Eddie Janik. Eddie Janik joined the United States Navy at 16 and served with the Naval Shore Party during amphibious assaults on Peleliu, Leyte, and Lingayen Gulf. As a beach master, he kept order in the chaos of battle. He later served aboard the USS Okanagan during the Korean War. Let us honor Mr. Eddie Janik. Mr. Dominic Critelli. At 104 years old, Dominic Critelli served with the 95th Infantry Division in the Headquarters Battalion Artillery Aviation Unit. He maintained aircraft that flew surveillance missions and volunteered to drop supplies behind enemy lines during the Battle of the Bulge. Let us honor Mr. Dominic Critelli. Mr. John Weiss. John Weiss served in the United States Navy from 1944 to 1946. Assigned to the Seabees in the Philippines, he helped build critical airfields to support the planned invasion of Japan. Let us honor Mr. John Weiss. Colonel Frank Cohn. At 100 years old, Frank Cohn was born in Germany in 1925 and escaped with his family to the United States at age 13. Drafted into the United States Army, he served in the Battle of the Bulge, the Rhineland, and Central European campaigns, ultimately meeting Russian forces at the Elbe River. His 35-year military career spanned service in Korea and Vietnam. Let us honor Colonel Frank Cohn. Lieutenant Commander Jeffrey Donahue. At age 102, Lieutenant Commander Donahue served as a naval aviator aboard the USS Salamaua in the Pacific. He survived a kamikaze attack in January 1945 and a typhoon that damaged the ship months later. He was present in Tokyo Bay during the surrender ceremony and continued to serve during the Korean War as a flight instructor. Let us honor Lieutenant Commander Jeffrey Donahue. Mr. Bernard Duskin, Jr. Bernard Duskin served as a first lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps, flying 88 combat missions in the Solomon and Philippine Islands. He later served as a flight instructor and continued as a captain in the Marine Corps Reserve during the Korean War. Let us honor Mr. Bernard Duskin. Mr. Callan Safel. Born and raised in Washington, D.C., Callan Safel enlisted in the Navy at 17, served in the Pacific as an electrician's mate first class. Aboard a wooden-hulled degaussing ship, he supported mine-sweeping operations critical to fleet safety. Let us honor Mr. Callan Safel. Mr. Harry Miller. Harry Miller joined the United States Army at 16 and fought in the Battle of the Bulge with the 740th Tank Battalion attached to the 82nd Airborne Division. He later served at General MacArthur's headquarters during the Korean War and in Vietnam with the United States Air Force, retiring as a senior master sergeant. Let us honor Mr. Harry Miller. Mr. Alton Riggins. Alton Riggins served in the United States Navy in the Pacific Theater. After the war, he worked as a bricklayer and drove a taxi in Washington, D.C., continuing a life of service to his community. Let us honor Mr. Alton Riggins. Mr. Dixon Hemphill. Dixon Hemphill joined the United States Navy in 1943 and served as a turret officer aboard the United States Little Rock. He later trained Taiwanese sailors in Shanghai and retired from the Naval Reserve as a lieutenant commander. Let us honor Mr. Dixon Hemphill. Mr. James Barron. James Barron joined the United States Navy at age 18, served aboard LST-543, On D-Day, he landed Canadian troops on Juno Beach and continued cross-channel missions, delivering reinforcements and evacuating wounded. He later built a career with the Atomic Energy Commission. Let us honor Mr. James Barron. Mr. James Quinn. James Quinn joined the Merchant Marine at age 17, transporting supplies through dangerous waters to North Africa and France during the war. He later enlisted in the Navy, where he became a physical trainer and won the Tri-State Lightweight Golden Glove Championship. Let us honor Mr. James Quinn. One more round of applause for all our World War II veterans. Now, please enjoy a special musical tribute to our veterans performed by the United States Marine Band. It is now my great honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Dave Yoho. Dave enlisted in the United States Maritime Service in 1944 at the age of 16. He trained at Sheepshead Bay, New York, and served aboard a T-2 tanker in the South Pacific. The war ended just 4 days before his 17th birthday. After the war, he earned his GED, attended night school, and rose through the business world, eventually founding a successful company and becoming a sought-after speaker across the United States and in 22 foreign countries. Dave is also a recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal. Please welcome Mr. Dave Yoho.
We are privileged by God to come at this age to be with you. We are privileged to know this sanctuary for those who gave their lives and those who maintain life with all kinds of challenges. We thank you, all of you, for making this possible. And we pay homage to this great, great memorial, and I cannot stop without saying, working with its director, Holly Rotundi, is a gift to us. Now I ask you to reflect on what this means to us. I am one of them, I am part of them, and I speak for them. We were like you at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years of age. We were like you. Did you have dreams of your future? Graduating from high school, going to a prom, going to dances, dating your first girl, driving your first car, drinking a Coca-Cola. We had those dreams, but they were never fulfilled because we were called by our country, and we took an oath to pledge that what we did would help mankind. And if you view the movie Saving Private Ryan, two things I will call to your attention. If you haven't seen it recently, watch it again. Watch the first 20 minutes, and you'll understand combat. You'll understand what they experience. And there's another passage in there, and it takes place at the cemetery, the military cemetery in France. And we, my wife and I, have been invited twice to be the speakers on D-Day, first on the 75th anniversary and then this last 80th anniversary. But go back to that scene. And an old man kneels before a cross in that cemetery, and he says these words: "Did I lead a worthy life? Did what I did count for anything? Did I represent the oath I took?" And from that, I had the good experience to meet the director of that film, and I said to him, that stays with me. Every time I speak in the cemetery, I think about that. Take a walk with me, if you will. Will you walk with me? And you walk over to those stars that you see described. Every one of those stars represents 100 of us who didn't come back. Every one of those stars also represent the families that they left behind, the children, the mothers, the sisters, the brothers, the wives that we left behind. And we are represented here in these structures today. You'll see all the different kinds of people who come to pay homage. Take a walk with me. I want to take you to Pont-de-Hoc. I want you to experience what I experienced twice, standing at the foot of Pont-de-Hoc, D-Day invasion. And when that emoted, and that happened, there's a cliff, a mighty cliff that rises into the air. And U.S. Coast Guards on something called a Higgins boat, flat-bottom boat, carried with them rockets that they shot into the side of that cliff. And from that they shot in there were grappling hooks, there were ropes and chain stairs to climb. And 235 of the nation's finest Rangers stood at the foot of there, and at the blow of a whistle proceeded up the face of that cliff. Live it with me, stand with me, experience. And as one man fells, and for only 500 of us. They wiped out our battleships. But let me tell you what they did. They made grave mistakes. Mistake number one, they came on a Sunday. We are pious people, not all of us, but those that were away. They were at church, or they had leave over that night. Mistake number two, the greatest part of our fleet were out on maneuvers, and none of their espionage picked that up. Mistake number three, they left the oil stains. All the oil fields that are there that fueled our ship, they left them standing. But number four, they unleashed a sense of patriotism, democracy, kindness, that, thank you very much. And they forgot that this was a country, all of us dedicated to taking an oath to do what we could do. And so they invoked something that caused us to recruit 60,200,000. Doesn't sound like much, but that was 12.5% of our population. We only had 130 million in at that time. They stripped us of our manhood. 12.5% of our population were sent to war. And the women, God bless the women. The women picked up the chores. A woman could not go into combat in World War II. But the women picked up the chores that we needed. They drove the buses. They drove the tugs. They drove the tanks. They did everything that men did in factories. And if it hadn't been for them, we could have never supplied the goods that we shipped. We shipped, hear me, 15 million tons of armament, clothing, food. 15 million tons. That's to Europe. We shipped 8 million tons to the Mediterranean. We shipped 13 million tons to the Pacific. And we sent 5 million tons to our allies in Russia. Now, how many of you know that history? Don't raise your hands, because it's not taught in your school system, and you will never experience what I'm about to tell you in any lectern in a school that tells you the sacrifice that were made. I look at these gentlemen. I complimented this morning. This is finery at its best. This is Marine Corps at its best. This is Semper Fi at its best. But I think of Semper Fi when our warriors were taken in to Iwo Jima. Search that history and see what you will find. The Japanese people let us come in. The armies let us come in. Let our 2nd Marine Division climb those sandy hills. And then all hell exploded. And they were trapped there for over 40 hours. I want you to think about 40 hours without being able to go to a bathroom, without being able to eat, armed and expected to move forward. So when they tell you of the 440 of us that died, they leave out something in the teaching. Millions came home with a dread disease. Oh, we came home with malaria, bleeding ulcers. If you worked in the engine room of the ship, asbestosis that could turn into a worse disease. But we also came home with a dreaded disease that few ever talk about. And every one of these dudes experienced a part of it, including myself, and it's called post-traumatic stress. And they added a D, post-traumatic stress disorder. And so how do we sanctify what was done? Well, when you get an opportunity, I want you to go around these areas and look what is etched into the granite. You'll see something over here called Murmansk, a tribute to my fellows. There were 250,000 of us recruited. They were sinking ships so rapidly that in 1938, President Roosevelt, a wise commander-in-chief, said, "We will build a flotilla of ships and never be without the ships that we need." Don't forget, here we were in the United States. There was Europe, there was the Mediterranean, there was the South Pacific, there was Russia, and thousands of other little spots in the world that we were sent and did the job that we were asked to do. I'm not here to down anything that was ever done. My role here is to make you aware. The war was over. We had whipped them. We beat them at every stage in Europe. We had beaten them. And out of nowhere came the Battle of the Bulge. And if you happen to be a relative of anyone who experienced, they won't talk about it. In fact, many of you will come up to me later and say, my grandfather, my father, my uncle, they were in the war, but they never spoke about it. Why? The Battle of the Bulge, the war was over. We had beaten Germany. We were the kings. We lost 19,200 men died in the Battle of the Bulge. And those that survive are stricken forever with denial. When the old man kneels in that cemetery and says, did I do a worthful job? Was what I did good for this country? I want to tell you about the women who flew the planes. Can't stop this tribute. Women could not go into combat. There were 1,000. They were called WASP, W-A-S-P-S. And they were just about 10 years ago given the honor of being recognized. 39 of them lost their lives. Now, they weren't in combat. The equipment was faulty, and they never made it through the next step. So what will this mean to you? Here's what I want to say to you. We are your guests. We are your symbol of what was. Come, get to know us. These are great guys. 2 of them are over 100. 2 of them are 100. Every one of them is over 97 years of age. I am their baby at 97. But here's what I ask you to do. When you shake their hands and say thank you for your service, stand and wait and see what he can give you of history. That Merman's Run, 34 ships leaving the east coast of the United States, 74 ships. 34 ships, surrounded by 22 combat ships. And they are headed for something in the Barents Sea called Archangel. That's part of Russia. And those 34 ships were surrounded by convoys and protection in 5 days outside of Russia. An admiral in England withdrew the military support. And all that military support was pulled away and taken to another site because the greatest battleship then existing at the time, the Tirpitz, was housed in Norway. And they were concerned that ship was going to come out. And he made the decision. He was human. People make these decisions all the time. But now, the Barents Sea, 34 ships, 33 of them made it that far. The Barents Sea at that time of the year has a water temperature of 45 degrees below zero. If you hit that water, you have less than 4 minutes to survive. That's the Merman's Run. I take no umbrage with the fact that it's not in most history books. I take no umbrage that so many of the people, one of these gentlemen was in the Seabees. I defy you and your family ask what the Seabees did. There was a special division of the Navy. They said it was going to be a non-combatant position. Yeah, the minute we secured a beach, they went in with bulldozers and whatever equipment you could get to sound out that beach, to sound it out so we could lay down planks to get them in there. So what did we give? We gave our youth willingly, graciously, and ever thankful for the opportunity to do so. And as you walk these hallowed grounds, take time to see all the things, including these bas-reliefs, these things that are on the wall here, because they depict what the women did. They depict what we did. We depict what our submarines did. Little known fact, we lost in the first 7 months of the war. War started in December. In June, by June, we had lost over 300 ships off the east coast of the United States. Not all Americans. Some of them were Brits, and some of them were Free France and other nationalities. But we lost those ships because we had no support on the ships. We had no guns on those ships. We had no degassing on those ships. but we had men who paid a price. And who knows that history? Somebody made a decision to do it that way. So in closing, I would like to remind you of this. War is not funny. War is not pleasant. The aftermath of war is not funny. The aftermath of war is not necessarily pleasant. It is only pleasant because we took the time to be here at your gracious invitation to meet us and meet this. We are flesh and blood. Meet us and shake our hands and find out who we were and what we did. So I said in closing, years ago, when troops were called to the military, the English started this, 200 years ago. The army came into a town, and the bagpipe would skirl. And that skirl of the bagpipe meant, come forward. If you're of fighting age, you come forward and we conscript you. And they put us into uniforms. It wasn't me. I'm not that old. They put us in 200 years ago, and sometimes the parent would never see the child again. And so there was a marvelous hymn. It's a Gaelic hymn, and it's called Londonderry Air. It's Gaelic, and so it defies translation. But what happened in 1926, a barrister in England wrote the words, and we remember it now, and you will remember it as Danny Boy. It starts off rather pleasantly. Oh, Danny Boy, the pipes are calling. What is it? A lover? A wife? A mother? No, it's a father. In our time, fathers didn't say and do those things, so perhaps they get lost. And so they called you to battle. And here's how it ends, because I've paraphrased it. I took that song and I paraphrased it. How we veterans look to our end. And we say, now remember, this is paraphrased, and think of that music. And we say, but if I return and the guns of war are silenced, and I am dead, as dead I well may be, please come and find the place where I am lying and kneel and say an Ave, a prayer for me. And we shall hear, though soft ye tread above us, and in our tomb 'twill warm and softer be, if you'll not say that you truly honor me, then I will sleep in peace for all eternity. Now I want you to take that message with you. When you're with others, tell them about us. Tell them about what you saw and experienced there, and read on to find out more about us. And why do that? Well, because, remember, we gave up our yesterdays for your and their tomorrows. Now, as you leave this place, remember it, remember the words, and tell it to your friends, and tell them to experience this place, and tell them to experience us, to touch our hands, and then say to them that we gave up our yesterdays for their tomorrows, and we thank them for the privilege. And if they say to you, who spoke those words? Tell them it was a 16-year-old boy in the heart and mind of a 97-year-old veteran of World War II. God bless you. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated while we prepare for the official wreath laying at the memorial's Freedom Wall. Representing the United States of America, our World War II veterans, Mr. Dave Yoho and Mr. Eddie Janik. Representing the National Park Service, World War II veteran, Mr. Dominic Critelli, accompanied by National Mall and Memorial Park Superintendent, Dr. Kevin Grease. Representing Friends of the National World War II Memorial, World War II veteran, Mr. John Weiss, accompanied by Friends of the National World War II Memorial Chair, Mrs. Jane Dropa. Representing the United States Army, World War II veteran, Colonel Frank Cohn, accompanied by Chaplain Kevin Trimble. Representing the United States Marine Corps, World War II veteran, Mr. Bernard Duskin. Representing the United States Navy, World War II veterans, Lieutenant Commander Jeffrey Donahue and Mr. Callan Safel. Representing the United States Air Force, World War II veteran, Mr. Harry Miller. Representing the United States Coast Guard, World War II veterans, Mr. Alton Riggins and Mr. Dixon Hemphill. Representing the United States Space Force, World War II veteran, Mr. James Barron. Representing the United States Merchant Marine, our Maritime Administration, Mr. David Hatcher, and Mr. Michael Griggs, accompanied by World War II veteran Mr. James Quinn. Representing the American Defenders of Bataan and Corregidor Memorial Society, Jan Thompson, President of the American Defenders of Bataan and Corregidor Memorial Society. Please rise for the playing of taps. Please be seated. We've now come to the part of the ceremony for the playing of the service songs. When you hear your service song, please stand to be recognized. United States Merchant Marine. United States Army. United States Navy. United States Coast Guard. United States Air Force. United States Space Force. United States Marine Corps. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you very much for joining us today as we mark the 80th anniversary of victory over Japan. May we carry forward the legacy of the greatest generation, honoring their sacrifice, preserving their stories, and dedicating ourselves to the ideals they fought to defend.